Welcome to the Kill the Clock Soccer podcast. This is our second podcast. Today we're going to be discussing some World Cup games. We've got myself, Keen Chukwinetta, Anhad, Harry,
Yay!
and
What up, guys?
and Sahand. We're going to be
How's it
discussing
going?
the finish of the group stages and the beginning of the knockout stages. So, where do you guys think we are right now regarding the end of the group stage and the beginning of the knockout stage?
I think we're at the end of 3 games played, and we're ready to go knockout. No more draws.
Yeah, what did you think of the group stages overall, though?
I think there's good. There's a lot of goals scored. I don't think any World Cup has had this amount of goals scored before. The defenses have really been lacking, and so far, I think the only defensive player that has come out and performed as a big name player has been Vincent Kompany. Overall,
Yeah.
it's just been an attacking World Cup. Players are scoring left and right. And we saw, a lot of players right now that are sitting on 4 goals. James bumped it up to 5 today, but normally, in a World Cup, I was about to say, like in a World Cup, with 5 goals, that might win you the Golden Boot, but not this year because
Yeah,
all
pretty
these
much.
guys have 4 goals and they're all playing still.
Exactly. Not even at the semis yet. What do you think, Anhad?
Yeah, I think it's been a great tournament. Especially there have been a lot of upsets, which is always good for the popularity. As a United States fan, I'm happy United States did well. Another team that I support is Italy. They didn't do well, but nothing much is expected from them. We had quite a few upsets, as I already said. Costa Rica, nobody expected them to do that well.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
on the other hand, nobody expected Spain to do that bad. And there have been some uh, like these moments by some teams, like Australia. I thought, although they had 0 points, they were not that bad. They were fun to watch.
All right. And what about you, Sahan?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it's the most entertaining group stage I've ever seen, and that's what I've heard from a lot of people who are a lot older than me. So, it's gonna get better. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Yeah, I
Lot of
definitely
goals.
agree with most of that, man. Definitely agree with most of that. Yeah, I think so far the most interesting group for me was probably Group B, only because watching Spain get destroyed by pretty much everybody was you know it's not what we're accustomed to. But I mean, you've also got great action in Group D and Group G as well with Ghana, Portugal, and Germany and the U.S. All right, so we're gonna move on to the individual groups here. What did you guys think of Group A?
So just Group A, real quick. That's Brazil, Mexico, Croatia, Cameroon.
Absolutely.
And the Brazil-Mexico game, Mexico came into the World Cup not in top form. They kind of backed their way in. I believe they had to go either to New Zealand or they had to do a playoff with New Zealand, and they actually would have missed the World Cup had Graham Zusi not scored in like the 92nd minute in Panama when the U.S. had already qualified. So that's why Graham Zusi's a hero in Mexico right now.
Yeah.
But Mexico backed their way in, but I think they have been the best defensive team this tournament. I think they've only allowed 1 goal.
Yeah.
I think Iran, could say
Well,
something, but they got into a messy situation, and then they had some
actually,
trouble against Bosnia.
Costa Rica also allowed just
Let's
one
keep it
goal.
short about Iran. I'm still recovering.
Yeah,
I would say this. Oh, actually, continue.
yeah. So I mean, just Mexico looked good. I was kind of surprised that they moved on, although percentages were on their side. I thought Croatia had a deep enough team that they had the opportunity to move on, but Mexico took it to them in that final game, and Brazil just looked very good over. I mean, maybe not the best of results, but they were attacking, they were scoring. Their defense was obviously lacking a little bit, but this is kind of the Brazil that we're used to, the flair that Brazil shows in the World Cup, and Neymar, he took it to the stage.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I definitely think that Mexico, Like, I feel that they're the one team that I haven't really gotten onto their bus yet. Maybe I watched too much of them in the qualifying. Maybe I watched too much of their, pre-World Cup qualifiers. But they just seem not to really know what's going on, like in the midfield area. Like they're very solid defensively, and they're showing that now. But I haven't really been impressed by them going forward, which is why I still kind of have them as one of my underperforming teams. And Brazil is definitely right there with them. I mean, yeah, they did get out of the group, and they did so pretty convincingly. But a lot of the competition that they faced really isn't the caliber of competition that going to really show us what they're capable of, under pressure. Which is why I honestly thought Chile had a really good chance of knocking them out earlier today, and they came close.
Yeah, my assessment of the group is similar. No disrespect to Cameroon, but a lot of people have them going fourth, and almost everyone had Brazil going first. It had to come down between Mexico and Croatia. I would want to say Brazil had a lot of things going for them. Home court, the hype about Neymar. This does not look like a typical Brazilian team. That it's not stacked as the previous teams, and a lot of offense is coming down to Neymar. So for me, they're definitely not the clear favorites, at least at this stage. And in today's first round game, I also saw Neymar cramping up, and I honestly don't know how healthy he is gonna be.
Keep in mind that cramping did happen at the end of nearly 120 minutes.
Yeah.
And he did pick up a knock in the 4th minute that he did have to fight through, and I think the coach said after the game that there is something wrong with his thigh, and they'll need a couple days of recovery time for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Group A, I would say, no surprise, Brazil first, Cameroon last. Croatia, they had a chance. They talked a lot of smack before the Mexico game, and Mexico came out, and in the second half, they just dominated the game. And I was actually really impressed by Mexico. If those 2 offside goals were allowed against the Cameroonian team, maybe they finish first. Maybe Brazil finishes second. So I was really impressed for Mexico to bounce back after qualification, get 7 points in that group. For me, Brazil not winning all 3 games is a little disappointing, but does it really matter? No, as long as they keep advancing. It doesn't have to be pretty. Just keep winning.
Yeah.
And Croatia, a bit unfortunate with the refereeing in the first leg, but again, they had their chance in the last one and they didn't show up.
Yeah, last thoughts. I just want to say that Brazil, they really haven't been at that level of performance that we saw last year in the Confederations Cup. I was really looking forward to seeing that here. They seem to be, kind of just stuttering their way through the matches, but I don't know. It's a lot to look forward to. Let's move on to Group B. Spain, the Netherlands, Chile, and Australia. I mean, the big surprise here, of course, is Spain going out and the Netherlands, spanking them in the first game. But what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Dude, I kind of like the Netherlands as a country, anyways, for the World Cup. But as a Manchester United fan, this group for me was wow. Louis van Gaal, man. Can the World Cup be over already, and can the Premier League season start? I just love his attacking flow. It seems like they're using a different formation or slightly different formation every game to cater to their opponents. I think that he definitely has the pulse of the team, and that front line, Van Persie, Robin, they are both in form right now. And the Netherlands, they took Spain to 118 minutes or 116 minutes in the last World Cup. And I think this is the first World Cup where Robin Van Persie is actually in form for it. And this guy is an amazing striker when he's in form. And we saw that in the first or the second game with that the first game with that goal, that diving header from like 18 yards out.
That was sweet.
I think the Australia need a shout out. I think they were in it. They did really well, I think, from what they were expected to do. Quick comment about Spain. I know it didn't go for them, and I know a lot of people are saying it's the end of, an era or the end of generation. I expect Spain to bounce back. They've had some personnel change. They were playing with a new striker. They were playing with new midfielders. So they probably need some time to figure their tactics out and the vision that they have to take to go in future. But we should not doubt the future of Spanish football. That's all.
I don't think Spanish football is going anywhere. The only thing that's leaving is Iker, man, because he's still crawling after Robin, it seems.
Yeah, Spain is. I mean, Del Bosque decided to go with the same squad, essentially from 2010 and the 2012 Euro. So didn't work. No real shock. I mean, the 5-1 was a shock, but if you've been following, as Keen was talking about before we started the podcast regarding the Tiki Taka and the downfall, I mean, teams just know how to exploit it. So they got out. It was a surprise with that kind of a squad, but they're going to be fine. They have so many good young players. I thought the Dutch really impressed. 9 out of 9 points, 10 goals scored, only 3 allowed. Robin and Van Persie in the form of their lives right now, and they have what it takes to get to at least the semis. And I thought Australia played entertaining soccer. They were expected to lose all 3 games. They did. And, Chile did well. Some considered them a dark horse coming into the tournament. And I think even their elimination today, they still justified being a dark horse.
Yeah. I guess my thoughts on this group are, of course, Spain, the big shock. But what you were just getting at, what I was talking about earlier, that style of football isn't necessarily dead. It's just, it's going to have to evolve. And that's what the game is all about, tactical evolution, really. And I think, Anhad, was it you were talking about Spain bouncing back? I'm going to go out on a limb and just disagree with you, because I think right now, the current crop of Spain, they're aging, and they're probably going to be phased out. Xavi, maybe not Iniesta, he might have one more tournament in him, and a couple of the other guys, they're going to need to step aside and make room for the younger guys like the Iscos, the Thiagos, and whatnot to come through, because those are all class players, right? And
I personally feel the core of every tiki-taka team lies somewhere in the midfield, and when you have the general in the midfield like Xavi going out, that's where you have to find either alternative players or maybe a slightly different strategy. So
yeah.
You're right. They need some time to figure out who to get there.
I've already put my money on Thiago, man. No, seriously, I love that guy.
Yeah.
I think, Osan, you were just talking about Chile kind of being the dark horse of the tournament. I actually had them, maybe not necessarily beating Brazil, but I definitely had them in with a good chance of doing it, and their play definitely proved it today. Also, shout out to Tim Cahill with the potential goal of the tournament, although I think James Rodriguez had something to say about that today, which brings us to Group C. Colombia, Greece, Cote d'Ivoire, and Japan. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'll jump into kind of the unknown with Greece and Ivory Coast. That game came down to, or that second spot came down to the last game of that group stage. And wow, how does Ivory Coast not come back and play defense there? That was an all-out attack, and they just had a mental lapse and let that go.
It was fatigue.
Yeah, I mean, it was fatigue, but it's, 92nd minute of the World Cup?
Exactly.
You can't do that.
You can't do that.
I expected them to win that game outright, just because I believe Drogba started, and after he came in off the bench in the first 2 games, they came out and had a good number of goals after his introduction. And going on into the future stage, I don't think Greece really gets anywhere. I saw a couple posts on Twitter today that I think they're playing in Recife tomorrow, and there are almost no Greek fans in the city. So,
oh wow, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it could be a very rowdy environment, and up against Costa Rica, which looks good. I'm kind of surprised Japan only got 1 point. I thought they had a better team than that, and I actually thought they would compete for that second spot, but yeah, only 1 point.
Yeah, I think for me, Japan has been the surprise story of this group. It's not just the point that they've earned; it's they played really, really bad. The first game that they played, I believe it was against Ivory Coast, right? There was a fight there, but later on after that, I didn't see much in that team. I was very, very disappointed. Colombia, however, on the other side of the spectrum, great tournament so far. Rodriguez has been one of the shining stars of this tournament. Um, he's 23 years old. A lot of people have been saying that he's an unknown player who's come up from nowhere. We just want to let our viewers know that this is a guy who was sold for 45 million pounds, sorry, 45 million euros to Monaco last year. So he's no ninja. People knew about him. He's just come into prominence, and I'm gonna say this: next round when Colombia play Brazil, if Colombia can beat Brazil, you can expect. I'm gonna give them a chance to win all the way.
I do love Colombia, and the way they're playing. Let's just keep in mind how good this team could actually be. They are missing their best player in Falcao right now.
I actually think that might kind of be a help to them. Just gonna go out on like a really far limb and say that without Falcao maybe they don't have their star, but the other strikers that they have, Gutierrez, even Jackson Martinez, those guys are very capable, and they aren't like I'm trying to think of how to put it. I think the thing is that I don't know. I don't think I think Falcao not being in the squad actually could help Colombia.
It's not that far-fetched of an idea here, because sometimes when you have that star guy in the team, the whole tactics and the whole dynamics of the team goes to that one person. If Keen, you're talking from a tactical point of view that's what Falcao would cause for this team, yes, I do agree with you. But then there are examples like Uruguay in which that go-to guy was not there, right? And their team did not perform. So maybe we have a situation which is opposite to what Uruguay went through.
Yeah. This is Colombia. They came through. They were favorites. They're known as perennial chokers. I want to say perennial, but every World Cup, especially everyone remembers 1994.
Yeah.
I've done that twice today, actually, Keen. Like that word. But, again, they came through. And regarding what you were saying about Falcao being hurt, I think it's really let James Rodriguez come onto his own. So that was good for them. Greece and Ivory Coast, two complete opposites. Greece, the team that just seems to always get it done. Ivory Coast, the team that always seems to find the way to lose and not advance. I think that's 3 straight World Cups that they finished third. And Japan, like all teams from Asia, struggled, and they were disappointing. I don't think it's a surprise they didn't come up, but they were in the way they kind of got beat down by Colombia, and the fact that they were unable to break down a 10-man Greece team was pretty disappointing. And I think Colombia they have a chance to beat Brazil. I still think Brazil are favorites, even though some people are saying that's not the case. They have a good shot at winning, but so far I think their fans will be happy with how far they've gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to touch base on Ivory Coast real quick, is this the end of their quote unquote golden generation?
I don't think so.
Drogba is going to play in another World Cup.
I honestly don't even think Drogba should have started that game against Greece. I'm a much bigger fan of Wilfred Boney at this stage. His hold-up play is much better than Drogba, and everybody's saying, okay, well, Drogba was, the team would play better after he would come on or whatever, and that could just be psychological. He himself, I'm not even sure, did he actually score any goals? But subs do tend to score more goals, as substitutes than if they start. There's actually evidence of that. But no, I think this Ivory Coast team is actually quite good. They have some young talent in the team. Their keeper's going to stay around. You've got Serge Aurier coming up. Gervinho is actually looking like a bit of a world-class player. Okay, maybe not world-class, but Gervinho is looking like a really good player. And Wilfred Boney up top is actually quite great. Maybe Yaya Toure is, this is his last tournament, but
he's 31 right now?
Yeah, he's probably done.
He
But
might see one more run out there, but
maybe the African Cup of Nations was certainly not another World Cup.
Yeah.
He'd be way too old.
Yeah, especially playing at that position.
Yeah.
He won't at 35. I don't think he'll be able to do it.
Unless his middle name is Riquelme or something.
Yeah.
Just to wrap things up, I'll go with. Actually, no. I'll talk quickly about Japan. Japan are a team I've always liked. their strength isn't their midfield really. I don't think anybody had them getting out of this group. So even though they didn't perform very well, I will sit down and watch Japan any day of the week just to see Keisuke Honda, Shinji Kagawa, and Hasebe, mix it up because they're actually a very technically proficient team. They just lack everything else.
If somebody remembers the first goal that Japan scored, I think it was Honda, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a really good goal.
Yeah, very, very good, sweet strike.
Yeah.
And then lastly, to close up, Colombia and Brazil. Brazil, like I said earlier, they're stuttering. Colombia are a team that are absolutely on fire. And I want to say that Colombia play pretty similarly to the way Chile do. It's a high-energy, very direct counter-attacking style. And if Brazil, don't show up, they could be in some serious trouble. Like some very serious trouble, because James Rodriguez, Juan Cuadrado, Gutierrez, even Jackson Rodriguez, these guys, they will finish chances. Not to mention both of their flying fullbacks. I think it's Armero, and I forget the other guy's name. But yeah, I mean, Colombia have a great side. And just to clear up what I was saying earlier about Falcao, when you have a star like that in your team, he can kind of determine tactical decisions. I feel that because his hold-up play is so garbage.
Yeah.
They were often forced to play a second striker alongside him. And while he will finish chances that other strikers might not,
Goals
playing.
of tournaments.
I'm sorry.
Goals of tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, they do. But the thing is, being forced into playing like a two-man midfield isn't the best thing in the world either. Midfields win tournaments too, right? They control games.
and also this Colombia team, they have depth. Like Jackson Martinez is one name we've thrown around. This guy has scored 46 goals in 60 games for Porto. He's very highly rated, and I know a lot of top clubs want to sign this guy. So they're no slouches for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of slouches. Group D.
Go to the next
England.
Here we go.
Just kidding. I should actually say I'm not one of those people who thinks Roy Hodgson should be fired. Baby steps is the way it is with international soccer, and I can see some improvement with this England side. Group D. Uruguay, Costa Rica, England, Italy. Probably the biggest shock of the tournament. Costa Rica spanking some World Cup winners like, it's no man's business. What do you guys think about that?
So coming in, this group was talked about as a potential group of death and the group of champions. I was completely wrong on England. I had them moving on from this group, and they looked good in European qualifying, but I have no idea what happened when they came out here. They had a decent showing against Italy in the first game, and it was tied up, and then Balotelli happened. But yeah, that was about it from England. It was quiet the rest of the tournament, actually.
Yeah.
This group deserves a whole podcast in itself. There is so much to talk about this group. You start with Costa Rica. How many people realistically had them making, or just winning the group? That's insane. Who would have expected? How many people thought Suarez would again bite somebody and get banned? How many people thought that...
Not Liverpool, because they didn't get him any treatment or counseling.
Not to mention there were people in Norway who actually did think that, and they made some good money on.
Oh yeah, I heard a bunch of people made money on this.
Luis Suarez, Norway thanks you.
I was one of the people who thought that this was the time when Italy, who always is expected to fail but do good, or I wouldn't say always, but sometimes people sleep on them and they go through. And England, who people always think are going to be great and they fail, I thought the tables would turn this time. I was wrong as far as England goes. It's not such a bad thing for England, though. I know the results didn't go for them, but I think they performed a bit better than what they did in the last few tournaments. Moving on now, the thing that we have to talk in this group is how Uruguay are going to do in the remainder of this tournament. the first game that they played without Suarez didn't look good. The last game that they played without Suarez, they looked all right. Right? Can we say all right? Or
Wait,
or
they already played their
They're
last
done,
game
man.
tournament.
They're
They're
going.
done.
They're on the
Alright, I'm
plane
sorry.
home.
no, I mean the last group stage, the last group game they. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Uruguay are done. Sorry, too late. I'm tripping here, but
We all
the
just
point
sat there in stunned silence, thinking we saw the
Right.
wrong games today.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
wait, who played?
But my point was Uruguay without
what group?
Suarez didn't really have any firepower.
No, I'll jump into that because I kind of know what you're saying there.
Yeah. Diego
Uruguay
Forlan
lost
is
their first game, and they did not look good at all. I think Forlan's the type of guy that can come off the bench, kind of like he was good in the last World Cup, but honestly, like going back to a U.S. perspective real quick, I think Forlan right now is more of that Brad Davis type sub that you can bring on late in the game if you need a goal and you're intending to do it off a free
Yeah.
kick. And I don't think he can play it anymore as a
Or
striker
Drogba,
90
cough,
minutes
cough.
a game, and he obviously didn't play that today either. Yeah. But if you look at Uruguay, yeah, they lost the first
Yeah,
game
I
without
don't
Suarez. With him, they're 2-0 in this tournament.
yeah.
And today again, without Suarez, they had no appetite, no hunger, and they just looked very bad overall.
I think Uruguay's problem
looking at
is
this
they
group.
depended almost. Hello.
Go ahead.
I was saying Uruguay's problem is that they depended almost solely on that front three to create and score basically. I don't really see any midfield quality in that team. So I mean Uruguay isn't really going to push the ball forward, knock it around, and control a game really. And without
these-
Suarez, without I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just
Was that an
gonna
Indeed?
say- I was just gonna say that.
Can I get an amen?
Oh, I was just gonna say that with these results, it begs the question how good Cavani really is. And I know you have some thoughts about Cavani, right?
He's not a guy who can carry your
Yeah, I
team,
mean,
but he's a guy
Cavani
who can
is-
come up with goals when you need him to. But don't expect him to be the guy.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, how good is Gonzalo Higuain gonna be if you don't have a guy like Johan Inler, making sure that your team controls possession and distributing the passes? And I'm just gonna say it now. I hate one-dimensional strikers. It's really cool that you can score goals and stuff, but it's 2014, and roles are blending so much that you have to be able to do more than one thing. Which is why whenever I'm talking about strikers that I like, it's guys like Luis Suarez on the pitch when he's
Not biting people.
playing. Exactly, when he's not biting people. Wayne Rooney, Van Persie, Higuain, even guys like that who can actually do more than one thing on the ball instead of just putting it on the back of the net, which is cool, but I'm not going to pay 60 million pounds or whatever for you just because you scored 50 bajillion goals last season. You got to show me more.
Yeah, well, he might not have all the skills on the ball, but Cavani, just to defend him, he does put a great effort on defense. He tries.
Oh, yeah, he's a hard
He puts in good effort.
I don't even I'm not going to dispute that, but other areas of his game are lacking, and Uruguay could have used somebody who could do more than score and run. They definitely needed it today, but yeah. What else is going on in this group? We've got England. Okay, England. This is the reason why I feel this is going to be a long discussion, but England are improving. The young core that they've got, I think if they play together, if they consistently play together, and if there's a mindset that this team is looking to play with, looking forward, like this is actually an England squad that I feel you can get a little bit happy about. Yeah. Anybody have thoughts on Italy?
I was just gonna drop in on Italy and say I know people will look at England with 1 point and say it's disappointing. First time they've been knocked out of the group stage since I think '58, if I'm not
Without a-
mistaken.
No.
To me, Italy was the most disappointing team.
Yeah.
I mean, did they look good? I mean, not always, but I don't think anyone really thought they would be eliminated at this stage. And Pirlo's gonna be gone, and they just looked like they kind of lacked creativity at times. They looked slow. Like at the end of the Uruguay game, yes, they were down to 10 men, but there was no urgency. It's like once Diego Godin got that header in, they just stopped caring. So Italy, at least to me, by far the biggest disappointment in that group.
What
Yeah,
I
let me
find
just
funny
give
is
it. All right, go ahead.
Oh, thanks. What I find funny is, Italy suffered kind of the exact opposite of the problem that Uruguay suffered. Uruguay had no midfield. Italy had strikers. I mean, Balotelli, Immobile, guys who can actually score goals, but they had no chemistry. So, I mean, if Italy and Uruguay had like a love child, that would be a World Cup winner, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe it's coming up after. You never know with Suarez if he did something with Chiellini there.
This is like straight out of Alien.
Let me
I
just.
wish I
I'll give
wish
a
we
shout
had
out
his
real
Break
quick
room at
to-
lunch.
Let
I
me
mean, I
give
was
a
sitting in
shout
our
out
break
to
room, and I was just
Goodwin.
shocked when I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there with a couple coworkers watching the game, and then all of a sudden he just digs in there. It was Ian Dark who had the best tweet, saying it was a pasta Chiellini.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just so bizarre. It's so bizarre, and his team suffered for it because they really did rely on him.
Yeah, even Liverpool suffers for it now too. I remember Musa Kwanga on Twitter was saying, "Bring on the memes." Totally agreed.
Yeah.
There were some pretty good ones.
It's kind of unfortunate that Uruguay's World Cup is going to be remembered with this Suarez incident, as it kind of
Absolutely.
was in the last World Cup as well,
Hmm.
with his
Handball.
handball, the hand of God against Ghana, which I think any striker or any player in that position would have done that, and that was the right decision in my mind there to try to go on and advance, and which they actually did. But I want to give a shout out to Godin here. He had a great season, a long season, and he came up with another header when they needed it most, when his team
Yeah,
needed
exactly.
it most.
I think somebody had a tweet said the goal to basically win La Liga, a goal in the Champions League final, goal to get your team out of the group in the World Cup. Doesn't get much better than that.
Yep.
All in a couple weeks too.
All right, next two groups are kind of boring, so
Let's
let's get it over with.
All right. Group B: Switzerland, Ecuador, France, and Honduras. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and try and direct this conversation by saying that France beating Switzerland 5-2 shouldn't be taken, as like a true thrashing of a team. I mean, yes, they actually did it, and it's easier said than done, but they had an early set piece goal, and their second goal came off a defensive error, and anybody who's down 2-0, within the first 20 minutes is going to play very differently than if it's 0-0. And I do think this Swiss team are actually quite good. So, discuss.
No, I agree with that. I think the Swiss team are good. They showed it at the end. Their one problem that might stop them from moving really far in this tournament is an over-reliance on Shaqiri.
Hmm.
But in their next game, they'll play against Argentina, which is really relying on Messi, so you never know. It could go either way.
Yeah.
I liked France, the way they played. You're an Arsenal fan. I know you were talking about bringing on Giroud beforehand.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think Benzema is the better striker there, but I
Oh,
like
yeah,
what they did in the last two games. I think they had a two-striker rotation up there. And this is definitely a better France team than the one we saw at the last
Yeah, definitely.
There's Ribéry being out. I think he got injured right before the tournament. And still not bringing Nasri was a bit of a surprise. But they got 7 points. They won the group, so can't question the coach.
Yeah. Results are gold for coaches, really. My sentiments on Giroud aren't necessarily that he should start over Benzema, but I'm definitely of the opinion that his hold-up play is better, and that hold-up play is really good, especially when you have a midfield like France does. Johan Cabaye, I love him, and he's a player who does like to get forward, and you can just imagine him and Giroud linking up really well. But yeah, Benzema's having a great tournament. Can't be denied.
Yeah, I agree with the first thing Keane brought up regarding the demolition of the Swiss. Those two goals came like within a minute of each other, and it just put them in an awkward spot. Yeah, they shouldn't have allowed goals 3, 4, and 5 after, but I don't think the Swiss are as bad as they were made out to be after that game.
Hmm.
And I think they'll pose a stiff challenge for Argentina regarding
Yeah.
France. Benzema's been doing great. He's got 4 goals. Not to mention he missed a penalty kick.
Yeah.
So he's doing great, and Ribery being hurt before the tournament and Nasri not being invited. So far, so good for the French. Although they did have an easy group, so I think once this tournament continues, it's gonna get tougher for them. I don't think we've really seen them tested yet.
Yeah. That's the thing. A lot of the teams that I feel are performing well haven't been truly tested, and the French are definitely one of them. So I'll be excited to see how they do against Nigeria tomorrow, or actually today.
We all know you will be very excited.
Oh yeah,
for
I
that
mean,
game.
we'll get to that when we're discussing Group F. But quick thoughts on Switzerland. The Swiss team, I feel traditionally are like a pretty defensive team, and this year they actually have some really great attacking talent. And I always feel bad for coaches who have pretty defensive systems and have to open them up, because that it's a lot easier said than done. And I mean, you could really just ask AVB about that. I mean, he had injuries, but he did find himself in some trouble early in the season. As for Ecuador and Honduras, shout out to Honduras, the team that played what I believe was the ugliest soccer in the entire tournament. I am so happy they're gone. So happy they're gone.
It was bad,
And-
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that teams not every team has the technical quality of a Spain or a Brazil or whatever. But when you turn ugly, when your solution to that is to just hack people down, I can't respect that. Ecuador, they were never going to get out.
Really? They were. I thought they were unfortunate in that first game.
I never saw it. I didn't see them having the level of performance, at least not consistent enough.
I mean, I
to,
didn't pick them to
escape.
come out. I think most of us had France and Switzerland, but I thought Ecuador with that last second goal on one end, they were about to score, then
Oh yeah, you're right.
the tackle and the
counterattack.
turnover, then just like that, they were out of. That's it. They're out.
Yeah. Hey man.
Shout out to Ener Valencia. Scored all of Ecuador's goals.
Where's the other Valencia?
Yeah, that's all. Every time I see Valencia, I'm like, Antonio Valencia?
Oh,
Nope.
he got a red card.
Yeah, red card.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Which brings us to Group F: Argentina, Bosnia, Iran, and Nigeria. Whoop whoop. What did you guys think of that group?
Wait, who won that group? I thought the team name was
Argentina.
I thought the team name was Messi.
Oh yeah, good one. I think the thing is with Argentina, they have like a good deal of quality, but they're not playing as a team. Angel Di Maria has been pretty unimpressive, which is kind of saddening because I was hoping he would have a great World Cup.
He could
Messi,
just be tired.
They really
That's
need
very true.
Champions League Di Maria.
yeah, they
He
need
needs to
Champions
come.
League.
He
Di Maria.
needs to come back, especially with Aguero out. They need somebody else to
Exactly.
start creating chances for that team.
Yeah. The second I heard Aguero was injured, I was like, oh, what does this mean for Argentina? They actually might be in some trouble. Messi kind of, strapped the team onto his back and has trudged through the group with them, much like Neymar did actually in Group A. Yeah, I don't know. Argentina are a team that have quality, like everybody knows it, but you've actually got to show us some of it.
Yeah,
I'll jump in here and say, obviously, I think most people expected Argentina to go on just because they did have the quality, and Messi did bail them out, which sooner or later we know the great players do.
Exactly.
I'm kind of surprised that Bosnia and Herzegovina did not move on. I thought they had a good amount of talent, and I think they were ranked in the top 10 by the FIFA rankings for whatever that was.
rankings.
But they had some talent in there, and Dzeko leading that front line. Yeah.
Yeah, they did have some top talent. The thing is, outside of what was it? It was a trio of Dzeko, Pjanic, and who's the third one? Why can't I remember?
Something itch.
Yeah, that's a good guess. I think it was Begovic. Yeah, Dzeko, Pjanic,
Yeah.
Begovic, and somebody else. There really wasn't much going on. I wouldn't go so far to call it a team of no names, but the rest of the quality wasn't there. They were an interesting team to watch in the qualifiers, though.
I
Must
thought
be
they were
said.
unfortunate to have that one goal against Nigeria ruled back incorrectly for offsides. Because
Yeah.
if that game finishes 1-1, they're advancing. But a lot of Bosnians said this is the golden generation of players, and the coach had some critics. But again, I thought they did well versus Argentina. They're a little static versus Nigeria. Then they put 3 goals past that
Unlucky is a
stubborn
better word.
Iranian defense. So I still think on talent, based on talent, they're the second best team in the group. But unfortunately, that soccer just didn't work out for them.
Yeah, what happened against the Nigerian game was, yes, that was definitely a goal. As a Nigerian American, will raise my hand and say that was a goal, and it did completely change the whole dynamic of the group, really. But there was this also another phenomenon, something that meteorologists have just figured out. It's called Vincent Anyama. Um, he had a fantastic game for the rest of the match.
Tournament.
Yeah, I know he's on fire, man. And yeah, that's my boy right now. As for
Yeah,
Iran, sorry. As for
Let me, maybe I can decipher this best.
yeah, you can.
I think looking at the first game again, they went into it worst game of the tournament by far, just a
Oh yeah,
dry 0-0 tie, and the idea was for them to still be alive by the last game. But I mean, against Argentina, they were underdogs to lose by 3 or 4 goals at least.
fantastic game, by the way.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean, the surprising thing to us, it wasn't surprising that it was only a 1-0 game. It was surprising that Iran had like 4 or 5 legitimate chances in the second
Exactly.
half to
Not
score.
to mention the penalty.
Yeah, and then the penalty. But again, they were alive to the last day, and I think that's the intention they came into the tournament with. And if I could just drop one real quick thing regarding Argentina and Messi, is that Messi scored 4 goals in 3 games, which is impressive, but he hasn't had that kind of 80 to 90 minute impact he usually does in his prime days with Barcelona.
Yeah, I feel
That's-
he's of course attracting a ridiculous amount of attention in this Argentina side. The thing is, the other players in the team, of course, there are some serious world class talents in this team, but from an attacking midfield point of view, like there isn't much going on. Di Maria isn't doing as well as I thought he would. So you're seeing Messi like drop really deep and like try and play 1-2s with guys, and it's just not happening because he only actually gets into a dangerous position from these deeper positions once or twice a game, and every time he scored. I mean, he did it against Bosnia, he did it against Iran, and well, he tore up Nigeria. But still, I mean, like the thing is, he attracts a lot of attention, and
Yeah,
it's
I-
hard to
Also,
perform like
just on
that.
The
the-
difference between the Messi of Argentina and Barcelona is they're also playing in different positions, right?
Yeah.
And there's a whole different tactic going into the game. So, yeah, a lot of people criticize Messi a lot, but he's carried this team through this group. Argentina, I will say, probably deserved to be on the top, but they did not deserve to have 9 points.
Yeah, that's actually the best way you can probably summarize that. Group G: Germany,
Oh.
Portugal, Ghana, and the U.S. Lots to say about that, no doubt.
And nothing to talk about. Very boring group. That's next.
Just want to say, massive shout out to the U.S. I had them finishing dead last in this group after getting torn up by every single one of these teams, and I was
Wow.
proved wrong.
Wow, haters, man.
I know.
Oh, you had them finished third.
I had
You're
them
right.
finishing third, and with a little bit of luck that they would advance. And that luck came in the form of Pepe in game one. The
Yeah,
10-man, the red card, and the 4-0
Coentrao
loss
as
to
well.
Germany.
Cohen
Yeah, Control getting injured. Portugal did have a lot of injury issues. Ronaldo came through
yeah.
clutch for the team, though, and the end of game two, which might have cost the U.S. the top spot in the group potentially, and had they won that game. And in that third game, he came through and he basically locked it up for the U.S. at a time that Ghana did look a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about that U.S.-Germany game, props to the U.S., man. I mean, they lost 1-0. They did not look that good in that third game against Germany. But then again, Germany didn't look that great either. It was a really rainy day.
I don't
The
even
field
think-
conditions weren't that good. And I know you guys talked about the ref in game one, Croatia, Brazil, and then a little bit in that Iran game as well. I think the ref in the Germany-US game was terrible.
Atrocious.
There was a moment early in the first half where Jermaine Jones had an open run on the ball, and it would have been a shot just from the top of the box, unmarked shot from the top of the box, and the ref checked him. The ref basically
Oh
talked to him,
yeah,
and
it's just poor positioning. Can't
yeah.
really blame him.
Yeah,
Well,
and right
he-
before
I-
that,
yeah,
like
right before that, yeah, there was there was a foul on Fabian Johnson, and it would have been a 4-on-3 break, and Jermaine Jones going down the sideline, and
Yeah,
rather than
exactly.
taking the advantage, he called it back for the foul.
That's true. That's true.
I think the U.S. played a good game overall. They obviously wanted to defend and not lose by that many points, and they didn't. But I thought they had their opportunities. I mean, the ref screwed up a little, and later on in the second half, when my boy DeAndre Yedlin, when he came in,
Yeah,
he tried to change.
You should just go and
$2,000 a
tattoo
year.
his name to your forehead.
I know.
You love him so much.
I'll
We
do
get-
it once
we get-
Manchester
we get
United
to
and Louis
hear
Van Gaal sign him.
We get to hear Yedlin's name, I guess, I don't know, once every 20 minutes.
Yeah, we have like a WhatsApp discussion throughout the group, and Happy, like even though he doesn't really have anything to say, he'll just say, "Hey guys, Yedlin,"
Yedlin.
and leave.
Oh. I
For
wanna
a fun
say-
fact about DeAndre Yedlin, lowest paid player on the team makes
Oh, wow.
$92,000 a year.
Wow.
So you can say
Group
what
G,
you want, but speed kills, man, and there's no counter for speed. So
Yeah, but I'll put it this way. Like I think I was explaining this the other day. DeAndre Yedlin reminds me of like a really young Theo Walcott type player. I mean, he's not a winger; he's a fullback. But you got to marry that speed with some technique. That's
No,
what brings you up to the next level.
I definitely agree. Like he's great in that last 10-15 minute sub role.
Yeah, exactly.
Group G, you can do another podcast on this whole group.
Yeah,
But I think the first game really set the tone for this whole group.
yeah, exactly.
And if you could go and alter that first game and what transpired in that game, maybe this would not happen. But having said that, you have to give credit to United States because they got opportunities. Klinsmann got a lot of heat when he did not pick up Donovan. And look, here it is, US qualified into the knockout stages. So
And the craziest thing is they could have won the group. Like it's not even a far-fetched thing to say.
oh, definitely. Yeah, they could have. The last game, the Germany-United States game, man, that could have ended in like 5 different ways too.
Yeah. And I
think
mean,
the fitness of the United States is really what separates us
yeah.
from the other teams.
And also, United States, where from their base camp to all the different locations was the most traveled team in the number of miles covered too. So
Thing
you
is,
have to
When you think about the domestic situation, though, I would say that players in the MLS travel probably more than any other league in the world.
And they're
Oh,
also
yeah,
more,
maybe
they're
the
more
Russian
rested.
league.
They're more rested.
I mean,
they
they're
haven't
more
played
rested.
overseas the whole year.
Yeah, they are more rested, and they should be in a better form because their season is just starting up and everything.
That's true. That's also very true.
But they did have a lot of conditioning issues. The Altidore injury seemed like the first game, a couple guys went down with cramps and just slight pulls here and there. But that Altidore injury really changed the look of the U.S. team. He was the one guy, and the commentators have been talking about this on ESPN as well. There's a sub for every guy on this team, a like-for-like sub, except for Josie Altidore.
Altidore, yeah.
Eddie Johnson was left not on the squad. He was left back in the States. Chris Wondolowski, and I love this guy. And
He's not Josie.
He's not Josie. He's definitely not Josie. He's a smart player. He knows how to finish, but he is not that physical physical specimen or that athletic marvel that Josie Altidore can be.
Yeah.
Neither does he play in that level of competition. And I think that does hurt the U.S. overall.
Mhm.
Their players do not play, for the most part, in the EPL or in European competition itself. And the one guy that kind of surprised me was Jeff Cameron. He had a really good first game. I think he was ranked the 4th best center back after after the first game.
We're almost there, man. We're almost
there.
Football season.
Yeah.
The fourth best cornerback after. No, anyway.
The fourth best center back after the first game. But that second game, this guy plays in England. He plays for Stoke. I expected a better performance from him in that second game. But both goals were, against him, and that first one was just atrocious. How do you make that mistake?
It's called concentration.
Yeah.
I want to bring up. So we've talked about so many positives happening in this group. I want to talk about the biggest negative in this group. A team with Michael Essien, Christian Atsu, Kevin Prince Boateng, Jordan Ayew, Asamoah Gyan, Soli Muntari. How could this team be fourth in a group?
Can you think about it this way though? Did Ghana actually play poorly in any of the games?
Look at the German game.
No, I think they did against Portugal.
They outplayed pretty much. I'm not going to say everybody, but for stages of every single, they definitely outplayed the U.S.
Yes.
They definitely outplayed Germany for portions of the game, like large portions of the game. Mm-hmm. And in Portugal, they competed about as well as you could expect them to do. So you can't really say that Ghana had a disappointing tournament, just that they were incredibly unlucky.
Yeah, I think Ghana did well in that last game against Portugal. After they tied up the game, there was a good 10-minute stretch, which it really looked like they were going to score a second goal and knock the U.S. out. Yeah. I think what you have to talk a little bit about Ghana in going into that last game was the issue they had beforehand.
Multiple issues. They did the $3 million cash that Kevin Prince Boateng and Michael Essien getting in a fight. I mean, you can't have those kind of distractions on the team. So
that's too many distractions, and on a 3 or 4 days rest, those distractions pop up. This is like what happened with France in the last tournament.
But
maybe not
worse.
That same skill.
Well, yeah. That was a different.
France was like a nuclear level of like self-destruction.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty bad, but.
That was the
French
biggest
team had a winnable group. This Ghanaian team, it's still a group of death. So I mean, it's excusable. But again, like Harry was saying, they were 1-1 with Portugal. One more goal, and they could have been advancing. So
absolutely, yeah. I don't even think if any team failed to get out of this group except for Germany, it would have you can't really look at it as a disappointment. Which brings us to another disappointment, or at least in my eyes, Belgium. Yes.
9 points and a disappointment.
How can they be a disappointment with 9 points?
Because you have to analyze their game.
Look at the level of competition that they're playing. These are teams that arguably the U.S. could probably take 6 to 7 points from. And Belgium is taking 9 points from these teams, but they're not doing it in the convincing manner you would expect of a team with their individual quality. And I mean, okay, yes, individual quality will never win you a World Cup. The team actually has to be tactically sound, but they do not seem to be tactically sound.
It's a bunch of very good players playing together in a not so good way, and they're relying heavily on their defense. Honestly, I'm gonna put all my money on United States beating the Belgium.
Reminds me of Monaco. Cough, cough.
Looking at I see what you guys say about Belgium being disappointment. And I agree in an attacking sense they've been disappointment, but 1 goal allowed, that was off of PK, and they haven't played good. They've kind of squeaked by, and even that last game against Korea, they kind of sent out like a B team. They didn't have all their best players out there.
That's fair.
But the talent's still there, so you still expect them to do well, and 9 points in this tournament. The way some things have gone, I still go by the results, but there's definitely a lot of room for improvement considering some of the big names they have on the team.
Yeah, and you're saying that they only conceded 1 goal. Russia is a team that just for whatever reason seems to be allergic to creating chances. I was watching that Russian team and I wanted to smash my head against the wall.
It's not Rush. It's Fabio Capello.
Exactly. Because I remember Russian teams of years past actually having a little bit of attacking verve to them, and there was just none this year.
Euro 2008. I mean, yeah, it's.
I think they made it to the semis then, right?
Yeah. 6 years ago, but that's the kind of Russia we'd like to see.
Expect to see, yeah, and. Capello being Capello is not letting Russia be Russia.
For $11 million salary.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
So are you
Quick,
guys sure
quick.
that is Capello's problem? I thought the goalie, the Russian goalie, was allergic to holding on to the ball.
Yeah, at least in the Korea match.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Wasn't it raining though that game? I mean,
yeah,
The thing
but
is, it happened like 3 or 4 times even before the Korea
Yeah.
goal. Like
That's
he kept
true, that's
he
true.
kept dropping the ball. I mean, yeah, they could
both
have.
goalies were. If
Yeah.
I remember correct, the Korean keeper was probably the least convincing goalie, except for Iker Casillas, the entire tournament.
yeah, I just want to give just talk about Belgium real quick. Maybe they didn't have the most convincing games, and I know Anhud said he would put all his money on the U.S. beating Belgium. I have a lot of bias for my own teams, and I think the U.S. got in there. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, of all the defenders, big name defenders that came in that are actually playing to their level, Vincent Kompany is at the top of that list right now.
Is he injured?
He has him and
He has a
Thomas Vermaelen
slight-
have groin injuries.
They have
And
slight
we know about
injuries.
groin injuries. Those are not, easy
They're,
to
def-
come by.
they're definitely not fun. But
Definitely don't play on that either.
No, I think he'll come out and play. And I think at the end of the day, like that's going to pose a difficult problem for the U.S. to break down.
If he's healthy,
he's healthy.
with that back line and Thibaut Courtois in goal, and if Altidore can't play, I don't see how we can score against them.
Oh, we'll use our intricate passing. Cough, cough, cough.
I just-
Possession based through Michael Bradley.
Yes. Michael Chavi.
I just want to throw a quick fact out there regarding this World Cup. Russia is the only team in which all the squad players come from the whole Russian league itself.
Yeah, I heard that somewhere. It's interesting, but
Except for England and what's his face, Fraser Forster, who plays up in Scotland.
Yeah.
Scotland.
that doesn't really count.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Same thing.
So let's give a shout out real quick to the other team that's advancing from this group in Algeria. First
Oh, yeah,
African nation to score 4 goals in a World Cup, I believe.
Yeah, I
And,
read that stat.
They were, they had a
Lights out versus Korea for sure.
given
First
up
half.
at the 92nd
First
minute
half.
of the last tournament, but they played good this tournament. They looked a lot better than they did in the last tournament,
Oh yeah, man.
and unfortunately, they're going to go up against a juggernaut that is Germany, minus Podolski and Ruiz now, though.
I'm okay with Podolski. No, I mean we didn't really talk about the Germans in, that much in the last group, but regarding if we could do a quick touch on them, with Podolski being out, I think that's okay. They have Götze, they have Andre Schürrle.
I
I
They
don't-
agree.
they have the depth.
They definitely have the depth. I think the only place it hurts them a little bit, and we kind of saw this in the USA game. What Podolski offers them is a naturally left-footed player down the left wing, and
Yeah.
he,
Continue.
he can get those crosses in, and he got a number of those crosses in on first touch against the USA.
Yeah. Podolski is he's a strange one because I mean he played through the middle back when I think he was at Cologne. So, but he plays in a left wing role for the national team and for Arsenal. And I don't know, like I've never really thought of him, even like watching him regularly in and out as an Arsenal fan, that he's a natural left winger. But for whatever reason, at the national level, they love him there. And yeah, I don't know. I don't even think he's going to be a big miss because Germany has enough depth, especially in attacking midfield, where they'll be able to throw some other world class guy in there. So they'll be okay.
Especially against Algeria.
Yeah, exactly. Who I have to say, Algeria have scored what, in my opinion, is probably the third best goal of the tournament. That amazing team goal against South Korea, or that
Yeah,
was
that's
beautiful
one
stuff.
thing regarding the goals. People always look at the individual strike, but how about some of that team build-up play that Algeria had was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. Yes, I would say that coming into the quarterfinal matches, I'm most looking forward to France and Nigeria.
Yeah, let's just cover these real quick because
Round
we
of
kind of
16.
did. We
I
did
don't want to be.
talk
I don't want to
about
be that guy, but I'll be.
Yeah, let's cover these quick because we did talk about them as we were discussing the group a little bit.
Yeah, I think we kind of tailed off at the end.
Yeah, I think we
So-
covered about most of them.
What did you think of Brazil and Colombia today? Just a quick line on Brazil and Colombia today.
FIFA, when we were not looking, seems like they brought the crossbar down and the sidebars in.
if Brazil was to exit today or yesterday, um, to me at least, the tournament would have been partially ruined. I think it kills the hype to see that kind of a team go out that early, and at least for me, they have to at least make the semis to keep this exciting. Otherwise, the Copacabana would be like empty. There'd be nobody there.
Anhad?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I would have liked an upset because Chile had a good thing going on with Alexis Sanchez, Arturo Vidal. They had a great tournament, but Brazil out at this stage might have hurt the tournament a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I'm one of those guys who was a Chile fan. I pretty much have a team like Chile, like a very an energetic, direct attacking team winning it, unless it's Germany. And I don't know. I was disappointed to see them go out, but I feel it probably would have changed this World Cup. It would have fit the current theme of ridiculous upsets. I mean, I can't think of a human being on this planet whose bracket is still intact after the group stages, but yeah,
Can I make one more point?
absolutely.
I think this game also puts in perspective that Brazil are not really that superpower. I think the fans also realize that there's a realistic chance that Brazil don't go past even into the semi-finals. So it kind of normalizes the expectations a bit.
Yeah, but I feel some teams do really just take off in these knockout runs. I remember France in 2006. They really weren't that impressive until they beat Brazil, and they stormed their way to the finals after that.
You know what's my biggest problem with them? They don't have any depth in the offense. Past Neymar, Joe isn't the guy. Fred, I'm not gonna say anything against him, but I know there are better players who could have been in the squad.
This team has gone from like Ronaldo and Rivaldo,
Yeah.
Romario to Joe and Fred. I mean, the
I mean,
quality is so different.
But I agree with what Scolari's trying to do, though. Like, he's trying to get a kind of like a club atmosphere going, and I think I remember somebody on my Twitter feed was saying that this is a very functional Brazilian team, and when you really think about the central six players, you have David Luiz, Thiago Silva, Luis Gustavo, Paulinho, and maybe Fernandinho, and then Oscar and Fred. Those guys have pretty subdued roles, whereas the wide players are pretty free to move around and do whatever they want, especially the fullbacks. And so when you're saying that, you've got a guy like Joe and Fred does, well, I should say, when Fred plays well, he does his job well, which is basically to facilitate the other attacking players in the lineup. He's just playing. Oh,
but-
go ahead.
I think Fred is just like any other striker. When he's in form, he'll do well.
Yeah,
He's a big attribute to that team, and he was in form, I believe, for their qualifying.
and the Confederations Cup.
And he is not in form right now. And we saw him sky a goal that he should have made today.
Yeah.
So it was just unfortunate for them.
But
Winning
the point is that
was a huge mental boost for this Brazilian team. Maybe
Yeah.
it's what they need.
but the one thing that I was trying to say is that you have these guys in the team at the expense of who? Pato, Lucas Moura,
Pato
Coutinho.
spent the season Corinthians, though, and not to mention his massive injury problems. Like, the big
Yeah.
misses,
Yeah.
I think, are Coutinho. Like, I honestly think that guy
Coutinho.
is just ridiculous.
Lucas Moura.
Yeah, Mora as well, but I mean, how many attacking midfielders can you have? Bernard is a great player. Willian is a great player. So, yeah. Speaking of a team that isn't underperforming.
Well, just
The Netherlands.
before we go on quickly to the
Oh,
next
yeah, go for it.
Chile's out, but I want to give props to them. I think they probably could have won today's PK, but they were missing Mendel or whatever, and Vidal.
Yeah.
And probably the guy that took the last PK that would have been Vidal out there.
Yeah, the penalty kicks are really a coin toss. If
No,
Chile...
It definitely is. I'm not denying that or anything.
Oh, yeah. It's just Chile, I felt they did enough to win the game, and they didn't. But that is the way things go. And, yeah, I don't know. Netherlands, Mexico.
I'm gonna go with the Dutch. As good as Mexico, have done in surprising us, qualifying to this stage, the Netherlands are doing very, very good. I truly expect them to win.
Harry?
I got the Netherlands winning. Louis van Gaal, he can do no wrong right now in my eyes. But I will just say this: Brazil came off a good win against Croatia in their first game, and with the whole nation behind them. And they went into that second game and they far outplayed Mexico in the attacking third. They had a number of shots, and Ochoa just made some amazing saves out there. And if he has another game like that, he could shut down Netherlands' attacking or goal-scoring opportunities. And all you need is a goal, and if not, you got PKs to look at the end of the game.
I disagree. I think the Netherlands have a really good finish. They can finish better, and I would expect. I'm expecting Netherlands to win by at least 2 goals.
Oh.
No, I didn't say I don't expect that, but I just said don't be surprised if he has another great game in there.
Son,
Well, did he really have a great game? Was half of those saves just okay? I don't want to criticize the guy who had a really good game. I really do. I want to give him props for having the game of his life, but half of those saves were sort of blown out of proportion by the media. Keen,
Be it
do you
as it
wanna-
may, but he made a lot of money for himself off that game. I think he's
Absolutely.
transferring to a bigger and better team.
But that
Saves-
doesn't. Sorry,
saves-
go ahead.
saves have to be made, but I kind of brought this up after the game.
Yeah,
A good deal of those shots were kind of right at him.
yeah.
With that said, yes, okay, he's still man of the match, but show me some guy like flying. I don't know if you guys remember this game specifically, but Joe Hart had like a fantastic game against Tottenham Hotspurs like a couple of years ago. That's a man of the match performance in my book.
How
Anyway,
about Cesar today? That was a man of the match performance.
I missed a lot of that game. I can't speak.
Julio
second
Cesar?
half. Yeah, the second half he had one big save, and then again
One big save, and that's
saving
PKs though.
the PKs from essentially Chile's 2 best attacking players was big. But regarding the Dutch, Louis van Gaal has just team just clicking on all levels. I think inform Arjen Robben, Van Persie, he missed the third game. Otherwise, he's been playing really good.
Might have been on purpose though.
He's
Yeah,
fresh.
maybe.
He's fresh.
It could be too much to handle, and I think it will be. And let's not forget, Wesley Schneider's had a pretty subpar tournament so far. It'd be interesting to see if he gets the nod, or they got to play Memphis Depay in his spot.
I think Wesley
see.
Sneijder has been subpar for the last 3 years. Just saying.
Yeah,
That's
it's one of those common themes we've seen in this World Cup with coaches trying to like bring back the guys from 4 years ago to see if they can recreate that form. But unless Guillermo Ochoa just blocks everything, I think the Dutch are just too talented. And I think their confidence is sky high after getting 9 points out of that group.
Just
Alright.
real quick about your point of coaches bringing back all the old players. I guess not all the coaches are like Jurgen Klinsmann.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yep.
We are blessed to have them.
Yep.
American
so France,
exception.
Nigeria, Keane.
Oh, wait, I don't get to
Take
talk
it
about
away.
the Netherlands? Come on, guys.
no.
I thought you already did. Go ahead, my bad.
Jeez, guys, just trying to shove me along. Anyway, Netherlands, Mexico. Quick thoughts. Basically, the Netherlands have been playing some counterattacking football. Mexico have been playing some counterattacking football. That's the Netherlands. I think they're still playing that 5-3-2, and they kind of like to sit back a little bit and play really direct balls into space over the top. And I don't think Mexico's really going to give them a chance to do that. I think they're going to be forced to play a little bit more or hold the ball a little bit better than they have. So I do actually think, like, my awesome insight into this game is that if the Netherlands play well, Wesley Schneider's going to have a great game because they're going to be forced to recycle possession a little bit more against a team that's going to want to sit back. So, yeah, moving on to Costa Rica and Greece.
I'll just jump out there real quick. I got Costa Rica. I don't think any of the Greek fans have Greece either because they did not show up.
If you're not Greek and you're rooting for Costa Rica, you're doing something wrong. 'Cause I
Yeah,
don't think
exactly.
anyone wants to see Greece win.
Get on the Costa Rica bus.
Costa Rica, even though they finished first, they're still a Cinderella team. of the
The
tournament.
Costa Rica bus might just be parked right outside the Greek box because that's what Greece does. They
Yeah.
park the bus.
Yeah.
And they do it well. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that game. France, Nigeria.
All right, take it away, Keen.
Okay.
Keen.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you the first 11s for each team, and then I'm going to break into some tactics. Just kidding. I think France are a better team. There's no doubt about that. Nigeria, I want to say that I've been disappointed in them, but they played really well against Argentina. So I'm wondering how much of that is, actual Nigerian performance, because they were terrible against Iran, and I thought that they didn't deserve to win against Bosnia, which means that I don't think my home country deserved to get out of the group, which is blasphemous, but still true. So now that they're playing France, I do think that they're going to have to play a lot like they did against Argentina, where they actually showed that they could hold the ball, because France are a very technically proficient team. They hold the ball well. They have all kinds of attacking midfielders and strikers that can hurt us all over the place, especially considering that we're missing some of our starting defenders. So I still have France winning this one, probably going to be like 2 or 3-1.
Yeah,
I think everyone
France
agrees
should
with
take care of
Keen's
it.
assessment.
Yeah,
Yes, we all
whatever
agree
you
with
say,
Keen.
boss.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think France takes care of that. I think pretty easy win for them.
Yeah, sadly. Germany, Algeria?
I got Algeria.
Psych.
Just kidding, guys. Yeah, I think Germany wins this hands down, and this might be the first good offensive German performance of this World Cup.
Yeah, definitely.
You know the game to talk about will be Germany versus France if our predictions are right.
Yeah, I actually had that in my bracket, so I'm feeling pretty good
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
But
Algeria
I mean-
plays really exciting, but it's going to be a wide open game. It'll be a fun game for the neutrals, but I just expect the Germans to just take advantage.
I still have Germany winning the World Cup, but I still need to see at least one really comprehensive attacking performance where they just dominate a game, start to finish, for me to actually believe that it's possible.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I think Germans have probably the most talented, the deepest squad, and
By far.
I think also the most experienced one, because a lot of these teams either they have too many miles on them or they're too young. But Germany team they have the perfect balance between experience and their age. So I think they're good.
Not to mention all the young players are really experienced internationally.
Yeah.
Mueller, I mean, Götze is getting there, but Ozil and Mueller definitely. Not to mention Kroos and
Cruz.
Yeah.
So let me just ask the important question of this game. Not who wins, because we know who's going to win.
yeah,
Does
Klose.
does Ronaldo's record get broken?
I wonder if if Lowe's even going to start Klose. That would be pretty
No way.
awesome if he did.
I don't think he starts.
I don't think he
He'd be a
starts. I think he's
super
a
sub.
super sub role.
Yeah, I mean-
I'm gonna call 68th minute he comes in.
Are you calling?
Pretty,
Are you
pretty
calling?
specific there.
Yeah, are you calling a goal in this game Babe Ruth?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that if there's going to be an easy enough game for him to do it, it's going to be this one.
Yeah, this is really it. After this, I don't know how much playing time he gets.
Exactly.
After
Um,
this, I don't think you can count on them advancing either. It's tough games from here on out. So
Exactly. Like, France are no slouches.
Yeah.
Even though they haven't played a top quality team, they looked pretty good, except for that boring draw.
I really like Close Up, but I just kind of wish he wouldn't break the record. Because I mean, you look at Ronaldo and Close Up. I mean, I look at oh, it's Ronaldo. Then you say, oh, it's Miroslav Close Up. Yeah, he's been good, great at times, but it just doesn't have that all-time
goal
leading
celebration.
scorer.
His goal celebration over the past 12 years, it's on point.
Therefore, he deserves the record. So, yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people who I shouldn't say that I don't have like a particular, affinity for either one. I love Ronaldo, Il Fenomeno. He's the best. But I'm one of those guys who likes to see history. So I'm not upset. I wouldn't be.
That too.
All right, so next game, Argentina versus Switzerland.
If Switzerland pull out like a win in this game, I will be elated, because to me it'll kind of confirm at least what Michael Cox believes to be their dark horse status. They haven't really had a performance that has shown what they're really, really, really capable of start to finish. And I don't know. I'm one of those people. I really do like this Swiss team. They're a team that I don't feel too many people know about, and I'd like to see them perform well. With that said, if Argentina win, expect a 97th minute Messi curler into the top corner.
Yeah,
I expect Argentina to have their best game of the tournament. I
Oh.
think. I just got feeling, but I think They're gonna step it up to another level, and I like the Swiss, but I just think Argentina's, obviously they're better on paper, and I think they'll get it done.
Okay.
I think Argentina is probably gonna have to grind this one out, but if they do win this, the next game they're gonna play is gonna be the winner of USA and Belgium. That will probably be Argentina's best game in the tournament. But I expect a very low-scoring game against the Switzerland team.
Yeah,
But
Argentina are kind of like slow burners. They
Yeah.
don't really attack like some of the other teams do.
Do you guys expect Lavezzi to start in place of Aguero?
Probably.
I
mean,
do.
unless
I do,
Di Maria
yeah.
gets pushed up, because I don't understand who would take his place.
I actually don't think that should. I think Lavezzi should start that game.
Yeah, probably. So, since Argentina are going to be playing the winner of U.S. and Belgium, who do you think is going to win that game?
US.
Yeah, I'm going to put my money on the U.S. Not
Yeah.
because I have anything against Belgium. It's just the U.S. have actually been putting in some really good team performances. Maybe not so much against Ghana, but their performance against Portugal definitely made a believer out of me. So,
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a great performance. I think Hazard has a big game. I think if Company is healthy, I think Belgium wins this game. I just can't see us scoring.
When you look at these 16 teams that we have, I think Colombia and US are probably in the most positive mindset right now. I think these are the teams that you should, and Switzerland, you should consider the true dark horses
whoa!
up to this stage.
What about Costa Rica?
Costa Rica, it's more like a Cinderella story for them. It's probably gonna be over soon.
Do
they
you
see-
actually think the U.S. can get to the semifinals?
I don't think.
You mean
I-
quarterfinals or you mean semifinals?
You mean quarter?
No, I mean semifinals.
So that means, do you think they can beat the winner of Argentina and Switzerland?
AKA Argentina.
I think we're getting too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Because I heard some guys talking about that earlier, and I was just
No.
like,
It's not
slow
fair.
down, guys.
It's not fair to the tournament. It's not fair to Belgium to even talk about that.
Yep.
We should focus on the Belgium and US game.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly
God
what the players
forbid
do.
we insult our Belgium listeners.
I'll say this. I think
Kill us
the
with
US
pastries.
has played better as a team. They've had, and they always do play well as a team. Under Jurgen Klinsmann, at least, it seems that way. I think they have, if they are to win this game, they have to do it in regulation. I
Yeah.
don't know if they have the fitness levels to take this into extra time. And as good as Tim Howard is, I think Courtois will win any PK shootout that happens.
Yeah. Another thing that the US have to take care of is Pelini. I don't know who can take care of him in the box when he has to head the balls in. So it'll be little nuances like that, and I think Klinsmann's really good at assessing what's in favor or what's against them. So it'll be a good game. I just think US are in a mentally better position than Belgium, and as a team, as Keane said, they are gonna put in a better effort. But then again, you never know when Hazard just strikes one from outside the box and gets in. So let's see.
There's no team that carries more swagger and confidence into any game than the United States. There's no more, it's being American. That's just the kind of team we have.
Don't
So,
question our will to
They don't
win.
fear anyone.
I think it is a little bit of a benefit in order, like you mentioned, the Fellaini point, that Jeff Cameron did kind of fall out in that second game, and Omar Gonzalez did put in a man of the match performance
Yeah, definitely.
against Germany, because he is the tall guy on this defense. I think he's 6'3" or 6'4", and I thought he would be a little shaky, which he had been over the past couple months. But he made a number of good saves, beating Mueller to the near post a couple times, and just making some good, solid decisions, going
Yeah,
all
he-
in with tackles when he needed to.
He read the game really well, and that's exactly the kind of game that you need to have when you're playing Germany. Because with Germany, it's not about being beaten with pace or anything like that. It's about being beaten because they can control space really well. So yeah,
I will say on that point as well, in favor of going in Belgium's favor, Portugal did beat the U.S. on crosses, and the U.S. did look vulnerable against Germany in crosses at the beginning of the game. and you got to cover Fellaini on those crosses. I think Belgium have scored more headed goals this World Cup than any other team.
That's because they basically have like 15 center backs on the field at any time.
Yes.
It's Vermaelen, Vertonghen, Van Boyten, Company, Alderweireld. Those are all center backs. Not that they all play at the same time. And then you have what's his name, Dembele and Fellaini, neither of which are small. Although Dembele isn't exactly a header of the ball.
Got some playing time.
And then you have Lukaku, and when he was fit, Benteke. I mean, those are all fantastic headers of the ball. Like really big dudes that you don't want to go into a header with.
We're gonna have our hands full, and I think Belgium's probably confident because of the 4-2 win in November.
But I think the U.S. can turn it around. I'm hopeful.
So I
It
know
wouldn't be a
we've,
surprise. It would not be a surprise.
I know we ran kind of long on this podcast, and we're pretty much to the end anyways. Let's just wrap it up real quick with, guys, pick your top performer and pick your biggest pet peeve of the World Cup.
Okay.
Kian, why don't you start?
All right, top performer. Like, there's only one candidate really. His name is Lionel Messi. Just kidding. James Rodriguez, definitely. Seriously,
The bias.
it can't be
Almost
anybody. It can't be anybody other than James. He's been playing fantastic, and he's been consistent too. And some of the goals he scored have just been marvelous. Like the strike earlier today against I'm sorry, who did they play today?
Uruguay.
Yeah, the first volleyed goal against Uruguay was fantastic, and then the chipped finish for Japan was fantastic. Not to mention that he set up 4 additional chances. So yeah, definitely James. And then my biggest pet peeve of the World Cup is people probably taking like natural or national attributes and affixing them to the teams. Like the Germans are really efficient, industrious players, and blah blah blah, and the Brazilians play with samba style, and the Americans have the will to win. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I do that with the American team. But I see your point.
yeah, I mean the Michael Bradley doesn't work hard because he's American. He works hard because he has like 8 lungs. You know, that's just the way it is. So yeah,
He works hard because he's going bald, just like LeBron.
exactly.
Anhad, what about you?
I think my biggest winner is actually Lionel Messi, and I feel that because although James Rodriguez did have an amazing tournament, but I still would see Colombia advancing even if he did not perform to the levels that he did. However, if Messi did not single-handedly take Argentina to where they are right now, they would have. There's a chance they would have not. They would have had to struggle a lot to just qualify. So I'm gonna say Lionel Messi so far, and my biggest pet peeve is definitely when a goalkeeper gives up 4 goals and everybody say that, whoa, that goalkeeper sucks. No, that's not the case. Sometimes your defense is so bad as a goalkeeper, you have no choice but to see the ball go past you.
I am gonna jump in really briefly. That happens a lot in soccer, and that happens across many positions. Like people will say John Terry and Tim Cahill are the 2 best center backs in the league. It's like, are they really, or is it just because they have everybody else in their team standing right in front of them, and all they have to do is head away crosses all day?
Yeah, sometimes systems and tactics make or break a player.
Yeah, that's just me.
Best player of the tournament for me so far, probably Arjen Robben. I mean, he's played 1 game less than James Rodriguez, but I just think looking at old Robben 4 years ago, the misses he had versus Spain, and then the struggles with Bayern Munich, and the way he's turned that around, hitting the game winner against Borussia Dortmund 2 years ago, or technically a year ago. And I just think his confidence is sky high, and he has the ability to carry that Dutch team at least to the semifinals because they play the winner of Costa Rica and Greece. They're going to be big favorites in that match. So I definitely Arjen Robben. Biggest pet peeve has been spoilers, really. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to tell people that I'm recording the game. I need my phone. And sometimes I need to text my family something and let them know like where I am, stuff like that. I don't know how many times I got to tell people I'm recording the game, and don't come after and tell me, oh hey dude, it was a great game. You don't want to miss it. I'm like, oh thanks. Now I know there's gonna be a shitload of goals in the game.
Pro
I
tip,
don't-
guys. That's actually Sahand in that Kia commercial driving home.
Yes, I saw that commercial and I'm like, holy crap, this commercial speaks to me.
All right, what about you, Harry?
So
Yeah,
I was
let-
gonna pick Robin, but you I guess you pulled him right before me. So best player of the tournament, I have
Yeah,
to go
Glenn.
with the darling. I have to go with the guy that that has all the pressure on him from the host nation, the guy that's on every billboard, and that's Neymar.
Ooh.
And he came through in the group stage. He carried them through that. And today, when sometimes your best player takes the first penalty, sometimes they wait for the last. Neymar did his little special penalty run up at the fifth spot, and had he missed it, he never would have lived that down. The top player, the number 9, missing that penalty and costing Brazil a win on home turf. But he made it, and so I'll stick with Neymar. Um,
All right.
if I do want to change my question a little bit, best performer or best thing of the World Cup, it's got to be Klinsmann and Van Gaal. Neither of them can do any wrong. But pet peeve, just following a lot of media here in the States, there's a lot of national pride that comes up. Obviously, when you are playing in a World Cup and a lot of other people do start watching it, people that probably do not watch soccer or football, and I'll say soccer just for to avoid confusion, but that don't watch soccer throughout the year. And my real problem is some of the national media out there, a lot of football analysts that I've seen on Twitter, just posting a lot of hate on Cristiano Ronaldo, ahead of that U.S.-Portugal game, questioning how good of a player he really is, that he goes down soft, which I think all soccer players do, and just kind of laying some hate on him. That oh, look at his Z haircut, that he's doing it just to be unique and everything. Well, this is a guy that scored, I think, 252 goals for Real Madrid in the past 5 years now. That is coming off the Ballon d'Or. Has been the best or the second best player in the world for the last number of years. And that Z that he had in his haircut, well, he dropped 50,000 pounds to get a little kid a brain operation, and that Z was in the shape of that scar that kid has. So yeah, that's my pet peeve.
All right. Well, this has been a good, if not long, podcast. We'll try to keep them a bit shorter in the future, but hope you enjoyed it, everyone. We will see you soon.
Goodbye.
Peace out.
All right, later, guys.
Later.